My friend, before we talk about money, promotion, business growth, or the next big breakthrough, I want you to do something simple. Look around the room you are sitting in right now. Not a quick glance. Really look. Scan the shelves. Scan the corners. Scan the table, the floor, the cup near your hand, the things you stopped noticing months ago. Because what you call ordinary objects may be sending a message every single day. And that message may be stronger than your prayers, stronger than your goals, stronger than your vision board. You may be asking life for increase while your home is broadcasting decay, clutter, delay, and lack. That is the hard truth. Many people think they have an income problem. Many people think they have bad luck. But sometimes the issue is not that blessing is absent. Sometimes the issue is that your space has become unfriendly to it. Stay with me, because what I am about to share can change the way you see your home forever. We are going to identify the things that quietly pull your energy down, cloud your mind, and keep your environment speaking the language of struggle. And by the time this is over, you may feel an urge to get up, grab a trash bag, and start clearing your space with a level of boldness you have never used before. Because wealth does not only visit bank accounts, it visits order. It visits dignity. It visits places that are ready to receive it. The physical world is never just physical. That is the first thing you must understand. The spaces you live in shape the thoughts you think, the emotions you carry, the standards you accept, and the future you quietly expect. A home is not just walls and furniture. It is a field of signals. Every object says something. Every surface teaches something. Every repeated sight enters the mind and leaves an impression. When a person lives among things that are cracked, dead, stale, dirty, or forgotten, the soul begins adapting to brokenness without even realizing it. What once looked temporary starts to feel normal. What once felt unacceptable starts to feel fine. And that is how people slowly begin tolerating less in every area of life. Less beauty, less clarity, less respect, less abundance. In ancient sacred spaces, details mattered. Order mattered. Cleanliness mattered. Wholeness mattered. Not because beauty was a luxury, but because environment affects what can rest there. High energy does not settle easily in neglected places. Peace does not like chaos. Focus does not like clutter. Increase does not like signals of decay. So if you have been feeling blocked, delayed, heavy, stuck, distracted, or strangely unmotivated, do not skip over this. Sometimes the breakthrough does not begin with a new strategy. Sometimes it begins with removing what should not still be in the room. And the first thing that must go is one of the most common items in almost every home, a broken vessel that people keep for years as if damage is something to decorate around. Go to your kitchen cabinet in your mind right now. I want you to picture it clearly. Is there a mug with a chip on the rim? A bowl with a crack through the side? A favorite plate that broke once and got glued back together? Maybe there is a glass you still use because the damage seems small. Maybe there is a mirror with a line through the corner that you keep meaning to replace. Throw it out. Yes, even if it still works. Yes, even if it came from someone you love. Yes, even if the crack looks minor. Broken things send a message of tolerated damage, and when that message repeats every day, it settles into the subconscious. Each morning you lift a chipped mug to your mouth, your mind registers fracture, compromise, and settling. It learns that slight damage is acceptable, that beauty can be reduced, that wholeness is optional. Do that long enough and you stop noticing how often you accept the incomplete version of things in your standards, your habits, your work, even your money. A broken cup may look small, but the pattern behind it is not small. The pattern says, I will keep using what should have been released. It says, I can function with cracks, so I do not need renewal. But wealth moves best where dignity lives. Order attracts trust. Wholeness attracts confidence. If you want better opportunities, better decisions, better timing, better relationships with money, stop rehearsing brokenness at breakfast. Replace the damaged mug. Replace the cracked bowl. Replace the broken mirror. You are not being wasteful. You are ending a quiet agreement with lack. And once you start seeing it, you will notice how many tiny compromises have been sitting in your home, pretending to be harmless. Now let us talk about the second group of objects, and these are more dangerous because people often think they are innocent. Dead plants, dried flowers, a stopped clock. Look near the window. Look on the shelf. Look at that decorative arrangement that has not been alive in a very long time. Look at the plant you keep promising to revive even though it has been brown for months. Look at the clock with dead batteries that has been frozen in the same hour for half a year. Remove them. Do not debate with it. Remove them. Life responds to life. Growth responds to growth. Movement responds to movement. A dead plant is not decoration. It is stored energy in visible form. It quietly says, things in this house stop growing. Dried flowers may look elegant, but they are preserved endings. They are beauty that already died and never moved on. A stopped clock is even worse because it teaches the mind that time has paused, that progress is delayed, that motion is suspended. Even if you do not consciously believe it, you keep walking past these symbols and absorbing their message. And the message is not one of freshness, future, or flow. It is stillness in the worst sense. Not peace, stagnation, not rest, decay. If a clock can be fixed today, fix it today. If not, release it. If the plant can honestly recover, revive it now. If not, let it go and clear the pot. Make room for something living. Keep listening here because this is where many people feel a shift. The room instantly feels lighter when dead things leave. The eyes rest differently. The breath changes. The mind receives a new instruction. In this house, life moves. In this house, growth returns. In this house, time is not frozen. And there is something deeper here. When you keep symbols of yesterday's decay in today's living space, you quietly tie your imagination to the past. That old dead plant becomes more than a plant. It becomes a lesson in delay. That stopped clock becomes more than a clock. It becomes a story of suspended action. That dried arrangement becomes more than decor. It becomes a shrine to what once was but is no longer alive. And if you are trying to build new income, new habits, new confidence, new momentum, why would you let the room keep preaching endings to you? Freshness matters. Scent matters. Air matters. Light matters. Replace dead signals with living ones. A small bowl of fresh fruit on the table. A green herb by the window. A simple living plant you can actually care for. A working clock. Open the windows. Let old air out. Let movement back in. Make your space say, something is growing here. Something is being prepared here. Something new is welcome here. This may sound small, but do not underestimate what repeated visual cues do to the nervous system. People become what they rehearse. Environments become teachers. The room is always talking. The only question is whether it is speaking the language of decay or the language of renewal. And now we come to the most personal part of this conversation, because the next poverty signal is not sitting on a shelf or dying on a window ledge. It is in your pocket, in your bag, in your hand almost every day. It is your wallet, and for many people it has become a tiny house of disrespect. Take out your wallet or purse in your mind and picture what is inside. Are the bills flat? Is it clean? Is there order? Or is it stuffed with old receipts, crumpled notes, useless slips of paper, expired cards, dust, crumbs, and wrappers that should have been thrown away long ago? Be honest. Because the way you keep your wallet says a great deal about the way you relate to money. Money notices how it is handled. When cash is folded like trash, when receipts from months ago are packed around it, when the wallet looks like a junk drawer made of leather, the message is clear. This is not a place of honor. This is a place of carelessness. Old receipts especially carry a heavy energy because they keep your attention on what already left. They are records of spending, not signs of increase. Carrying stacks of them day after day keeps the mind tied to outflow instead of stewardship. Clean it out completely. Remove every receipt you do not need. Throw away the wrappers, the crumbs, the expired cards, the random scraps. Wipe the wallet. Straighten the bills. Face them the same way. If there is only $1 inside, let that $1 sit there with dignity. Let it look like it belongs to someone who knows how to manage, not someone living in internal disorder. This is not about pretending to be rich. It is about teaching yourself to treat what you already have with respect. People who cannot organize the small often sabotage the large. But the opposite is true too. The person who can create order in a tiny space begins training the mind for larger responsibility. Clean the wallet, and you may be surprised how much clearer your relationship with money starts to feel. And here is a powerful addition. Keep one clean bill tucked away in a separate place inside that wallet if you can afford it. Not for emergency coffee. Not for random spending. Just a reserved note, a quiet reminder that you are not empty. It does not need to be a huge amount. The point is psychological and spiritual. When you know there is something held back, something protected, something intentionally not wasted, your inner posture changes. Scarcity says, I have nothing. Stewardship says, I keep something aside. That is a different energy completely. It teaches restraint. It teaches dignity. It teaches that money is not only for panic and reaction, but for order, purpose, and wise movement. And when you pay for something, do not yank out wrinkled bills like you are ashamed of them. Handle money cleanly. Pay with calm. Receive change with calm. Small actions create deep identities. The person who treats small money with contempt rarely handles big money with wisdom. But the person who shows respect in the little begins changing the whole internal atmosphere around wealth. And now let me give you a bonus signal that many people overlook, even though it affects them every single night. I want you to think about what is under your bed. Not on your desk, not in your closet, under your bed. Because what sits beneath where you sleep has more power over your mind than most people ever imagine. If under your bed is full of old boxes, broken luggage, old shoes, tangled cords, outdated papers, and memories you did not know where else to put, that space is not neutral. The bed is where your body rests, where your mind resets, where your deeper thoughts settle into silence. And when the space beneath it is packed with clutter, you are sleeping above stored confusion. You are literally resting on unresolved leftovers. That affects the atmosphere of rest. It affects the quality of sleep. It affects the feeling with which you wake up. Even if you cannot explain it, the body knows when it is lying over disorder. Many people say they want new vision, but they are sleeping on old baggage. They want fresh ideas, but the foundation under them is full of items they have delayed dealing with for years. Pull it out. Clear it. Make space for air. Empty space is not wasted space. Empty space is breathing room. Empty space is possibility. Empty space is a signal that not everything must be crowded, stored, and dragged forward forever. If you absolutely must keep something there, let it be minimal, clean, and intentional, not forgotten and chaotic. But whenever possible, let there be nothing under the bed except air. Notice how that feels. Notice how the room changes. Notice how your body responds to a space that is no longer quietly pressing the past into the underside of your sleep. This is where many people begin to feel emotionally lighter, not because magic happened, but because clutter was removed from a place that deeply affects the subconscious. Sometimes you do not need more motivation. Sometimes you need less hidden baggage under your rest. Now here is the part many people miss. After you remove broken things, dead things, dirty money spaces, and underbed clutter, your home may feel strangely empty. Good. Let it feel empty for a moment. Do not rush to fill it with random stuff again. Space is not the enemy. Space is invitation. Space is readiness. When emptiness appears after clutter leaves, life has room to enter differently. But be intentional. Do not remove one poverty signal only to replace it with another. Replace with life, clarity, freshness, and beauty that you can maintain. Put a bowl of fresh fruit in the kitchen, even a small one. Let it speak harvest, sweetness, color, and life. Put something green where something dead once stood. Fresh herbs are wonderful because they are alive and they carry scent. A room with living scent feels different from a room holding stale remains. Repair what works. Clean what stays. Fold the blankets. Clear the surfaces. Let the room say, this place is cared for. Because care itself is a wealth signal, not extravagance. Care. A rich spirit is not always loud or expensive. Often it is simple, clean, deliberate, and full of life. Wipe the table. Open the curtains. Let light enter. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply arrives and changes the whole feeling of the space. That is what you are doing here. You are not merely cleaning. You are retraining the atmosphere. You are telling your environment that chaos is no longer the default setting. And once a home starts saying yes to peace, order, and dignity, the people living inside it begin saying yes more easily too. I also want to add one more truth, because this process is not only about objects, it is about identity. The reason this matters so much is that clutter and brokenness slowly teach you who you think you are. If every day you move through damage, dirt, delay, and neglected corners, a part of you begins to believe that this is the level of life you are meant to carry. But the moment you start removing what insults your peace, you send yourself a new message. I am no longer available for quiet disorder. I do not live carelessly. I do not feed my future with stale energy. I do not keep every broken thing and call it normal. That is a powerful shift, because wealth begins in part as permission. Permission to expect better. Permission to maintain better. Permission to walk in greater order than the version of you that kept postponing everything. And no, this is not superstition. This is alignment. Clean spaces produce clearer thoughts. Clearer thoughts produce better decisions. Better decisions produce stronger outcomes. When the room gets lighter, the mind often gets clearer. When the mind gets clearer, opportunities become easier to notice. When opportunities are easier to notice, action becomes easier to take. And suddenly what looked mystical begins to look very practical. That is why this matters. A home full of broken cues can keep a person dull, delayed, and emotionally tired. A home that is being restored can wake a person up. And when a person wakes up, money is not the only thing that changes. Confidence changes, energy changes, standards change. Even the way you speak changes. So here is what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not someday when you feel more inspired. Today, within the next few minutes, walk through your home with new eyes. Find the chipped mug. Find the cracked plate. Find the broken mirror. Find the dead plant. Find the dried arrangement. Change the battery in the stopped clock or remove it. Empty the wallet. Clear the underbed clutter. Open the windows. Let the air move. Then stand in the center of your room and make a simple declaration in your own words. Let this home be clean. Let this home be peaceful. Let this home be ordered. Let this home welcome life, clarity, joy, and increase. Let what is broken leave. Let what is stale leave. Let what is dead leave. Let what is hidden come into the light. Let this space support the future I am building. Say it with sincerity. Say it like someone reclaiming territory, because that is exactly what you are doing. You are taking a room that may have been unconsciously preaching lack to you, and you are teaching it a new language. And once that language changes, do not be surprised if your mood changes with it, your focus changes with it, your standards rise with it, and yes, even your financial life begins to move with more order and wisdom. Wealth is not only money. It is atmosphere. It is stewardship. It is readiness. It is the ability to create a place where good things can stay. So grab the bag. Start the clearing. Your next level may not need more noise. It may need more space.